22. Into the regular old unknown. When the bells of St. Peter of the Big Pebble rang the hour of 2 the following Wednesday, a girl and a boy stopped in their tracks on the Avenue Rap and raised their capped and mufflered heads to look at each other. They remained standing that way for 5 minutes or so, despite the discouraging iciness of the weather, despite having places they were really supposed to be, despite everything. Passers-by, with their heads more sensibly lowered against the wind, kept not seeing them until the last possible minute, and then having to swerve so as not to plow into them. It was not the sort of afternoon when normal people would ever stand stock still on the sidewalk, just staring at each other, almost as if they were bracing themselves for an explosion or a shock. But once some significant length of time had passed, the boy checked his watch again and grinned. "And we're good," he said. 137 hours come and gone. The girl cheered. The boy squeezed the girl's hands, and then, because that wasn't nearly enough, they hugged each other and twirled about for a while like fools. "What's happened, you young people?" said an old man passing by. "Nothing," they sang out. "Nothing, nothing, rien." "Bon," said the old man as he stopped and tapped the sidewalk with his cane. "Then, mes enfants, may our lives always be as happy for as little reason as they are at this minute." It was a very good blessing. Maya carried her happiness right over to the embassy wall, where a hole in the stone, now mostly forgotten by everyone in the neighborhood, had been plugged by a salamander-like dragon of stone and light, a zmei, that had come plummeting out of the sky. You could see its long, sinuous form in the wall if you looked very hard. Maya put her hand on the stones and said a silent hello and thank you, the way she always did when she walked by. All those awful loopholes closed. That was truly something to be glad about. There were still places where the roots of the Eiffel Tower had broken up the sidewalk, and Maya had seen a few vines and flowers for sale in the bakery the other day. But for the most part, all the strange business of the last few weeks was fading, not just from the streets of Paris, but from all memories and all minds. Human brains were just not built to register strangeness. Really, they weren't. That sort of memory was unlikely, in the end, to stick. "Too bad and unfair," said Valco. "They'll never know what a hero you are, Maya Davidson." "Ha, ha, ha," said Maya. "Without Pauline, that shadow might never have even shown up. Not to mention it was you guys who got us out of the cemetery afterward. That was pretty historic." It had involved waking up the night watchman and telling him some sad story about having missed the shutting of the gates by half an hour, and then having wandered and wandered without ever seeing a soul. Pauline had surpassed herself by looking very young and weeping the most amazingly realistic crocodile tears. The tears had disarmed the gardien and saved them all a lecture. She might have no talent for music, but that Pauline Vian was astonishingly competent at absolutely everything else. "No, Maya," said Valco, "you can't dodge this one. You saved Paris, and what's more, you saved me, and everyone else may have forgotten it all, but I never, ever will." He did a diplomat's bow, very fancy, and pinned an invisible medal on Maya's jacket. "It's the Cross of St. George, for defeating my grandmother, who is much worse than any dragon." "No, she's not," said Maya. "She's just a little crusty, that's all. I like your grandmother." Here's what had happened with Valco's grandmother with the mole. Once she had heard their accounts of Samodivi, Vampiri, and the Zmei, she had packed up her bags in very good humor and gone back home, without her grandson, to Bulgaria. "He seems to be pretty sufficiently Bulgarian," as she said to Valco's parents at the airport, "even without much help from me. Though if that nice girl Maya starts forcing baseball on him, then I'll be coming back quick step." So that was all right, too. At least for this year, Maya was not going to be left in Paris alone. It almost surprised her how happy she was about that, how happy and glad and relieved. "Oh, Maya, what sweet little picture she drew," said Maya's mother. "This is a treasure, this story, and it's really some grandmother of ours who made this?" She and Maya were huddled comfortably under a quilt on the sofa, turning the pages of Henri's little book. Not a grandmother, said Maya. A great-great-great-aunt. Well, I'm not sure exactly how many greats. A couple. You know what? I think she must be the same one who sent your mother the opal bracelet. She was a Laverotte, and she didn't have any daughters of her own to give it to. And I said, my sister, thought Maya, letting her fingers rest for a moment on that mysterious bracelet. Some day, those girls had said, its magic would have to be used. It was a comfortable sort of wondering, though, so warm and so cozy, with her mother right there beside her, studying that other mother's drawings from so long ago. Just this sweet little Henri here, with his wide eyes and his sailor suit. You can tell from the pictures how much she must have doted on him, can't you? Cute boy. Reminds me a little of James. Maya winced. Ugh, don't say that. That Henri didn't turn out to be a very nice person. Maya's mother shook her head. Really? I don't believe it. Look at his face. That face could not possibly belong to someone who wasn't a nice person, unless something absolutely awful happened to him at some point, poor boy. Something did happen, said Maya. His mother had another baby. As soon as Maya said that, she realized how terrible it sounded, but before she could get all knotted up inside about it, her mother surprised her by breaking into an outright laugh. Oh, Maya, she said, actually dabbing at tears of laughter in the corners of her eyes. Am I about to ruin James's life with this baby? Is that what you think? No, don't get offended. I remember when James was born, how guilty I felt about you. You'd had all our attention for all those years. It didn't seem very fair bringing this demanding little new person into the picture. But you came to like him pretty well eventually. I love James, said Maya, slightly indignant. Of course you do, said her mother. James is remarkably lovable, but that doesn't mean it wasn't hard for you when he first appeared. Maya wasn't sure how to respond, so she just turned the next page of Henri's little book. Life is too short, said her mother thoughtfully, her finger running very gently over the words. Isn't that funny? My mother used to say that too. And then she would let me have more ice cream or take me to the lake to feed the ducks. But it's such a gloomy thing to say, said Maya. She thought of Henri de Fourquoy, his hungry shadow, so greedy and so cold. Life had always been too short for him. He had wanted more and more and more. Until the very end, he had been willing to mess up the whole world just to grab himself some more life. Really, said her mother, shifting a little on the couch to make her belly more comfortable. I don't know. Doesn't seem so gloomy to me. Life seems too short because it's just so interesting and so mysterious. There's so much to do. There's so much we don't know. Oh, Mom, said Maya. That was one thing she had in common with that little Henri, after all. She loved her crazy, wonderful mother so much that sometimes it hurt. Just promise me you'll be okay. You'll be okay, right? And the baby, too, no matter what? Maya, sweetheart, said her mother, wrapping her arms right around Maya as if she were as little as the boy in the pictures. I haven't got any of this figured out. One thing I'm pretty sure of, though. As long as there are people in this world who love each other as much as I love you and James, or you love me, everything, no matter what happens, is okay. Deeply, deeply okay. 1,000 miles deep. That wasn't exactly the promise Maya wanted, but in the great uncertain universes there are little havens here and there, where a person can relax for a moment and be at home, and this was one of those. Maya closed her eyes and curled up next to her mother like a comfortable question mark, like a salamander. And outside the window, where so much was so unknown, all of Paris hushed. The sky became white and tingly, a sky made of fog and opal, because magic, like love, passes on and on and on. And it began, for the first time that year, to snow.